All right, here we are back with another episode of On the Delo. I'm your host, The Delo, and this is episode 170. And this is a special episode. All episodes are special, but this is a really special episode because I have my friend, my trainer. Do you like being called a trainer? Is that a coach? Is that better?
Really quick, in terms of your comment regarding special, one of my favorite books was like Animal Farm by George Orwell. And he said, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
Ooh, I like that.
So it kind of reminded me of that line.
Well, you are an equal but special animal for me.
Oh, thank you. I take that as a compliment. You know, all my life I've been training just to go back to my animal roots, you know, and finally have made it.
This is so funny. So this is my coach, Eugene, but also my friend. We've now, I guess we've seen each other in person probably, 4 times live, right? In the last 2.5 years. It was...
I think just twice. This is the second time.
No, dude, Dripping Springs. You came out for my book signing.
Oh, that's right.
And then yesterday and today. So that's like 4.
Okay, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Time flies, man.
Time does fly.
Because we interact so often just via text and stuff like that, I kind of lost track of exactly, kind of almost feels like we're interacting every single week, multiple times a week. I kind of lost track exactly how many times we met in person already.
Yeah, and the first time when I met you at Dripping Springs, it was right down the street from my mom's house. You were so kind to, I think you drove like an hour just to come and see me. And we had been, I think, working together about a year, maybe a little bit longer. And so the background story to all of this is that Eugene was, he was online. I met him through another person that I've podcasted here, was posting about him, certified health nut.
The Psycho Chicken
leader of all things great. And so Troy Casey. And then I started listening to some of your podcasts, as I was telling you the other day. And it just resonated. And I think the one podcast that got me at like 48 years old was about testosterone. And I just kept going back and forth. I'm like, do I do TRT? Do I get on the stuff? You know, and so many people were like, dude, you'd be so jacked if you did this. It's easy, blah, blah, blah. And I've never done it. I'm not against it. For all of you people that are on it, that are listening, good for you, cool. We all have our reasonings. But I have my reasonings for not doing it. And a lot of it, believe it or not, I don't know if I told you this, a lot of it I think is psychological, because when I was younger and I was in high school, I was pretty jacked. Like I was wearing tank tops. I looked like Rocky IV.
You're still jacked, man.
Oh, thank you.
Not much has changed.
and people would come up and at that time, besides making fun of my big nose, they would be like, are you on roids? Oh, you're on roids. Oh, that DeLorenzo guy, he's doing steroids. And it's just always messed with my head, right? And so to this day at 51, I've still not taken steroids, but not for what I care about what people think. That was so high school. You know, at 51, nobody cares anymore, or at least you shouldn't. But more for like health reasons, like where I'm at health-wise. And that's the one thing that when I listened to you, that had resonated with me, that you were taking things from like a health perspective, and you're like, oh, I can get your testosterone levels up to 700 naturally. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk. And then we had a little talk on the phone, and then I sent you some money, and boom, off to the races. I lost a bunch of weight, got shredded, did a couple of competitions, and here we are. But not about me, about you today. I want the audience to get to know a little bit about you, who you are, and let's just start. You're from Ukraine, is that correct?
Yeah, when I lived there, it was still the USSR. So I'm already up there, in age, so it was still around back then. I think it was the USSR, and then it kind of broke apart into Ukraine, and then it broke apart into Moldova, and then I think Moldova now is like in 2 different parts. I don't really keep track of the politics in that area. But technically, I was actually born in Moldova, and then kind of raised by my grandmother for quite a while in Ukraine.
And why raised by your grandmother?
My parents were in college. I think they were just busy doing the college thing, and they would come visit, a lot of the weekends. Yeah. But I'll just leave it at that. So one day I appeared after maybe a party or something,
Do you speak Russian?
I speak Russian.
Okay.
Yeah. I speak Russian. I kind of already lost the ability to read it, but I understand it quite easily. And then I'm pretty sure I'm a little bit rusty if I kind of try to speak Russian. Я могу говорить на русском. But I'm sure that's because I don't speak Russian to anyone here. I'm sure if I went back to Ukraine like I used to when my grandmother was still alive, it usually takes about like 2 to 3 weeks, and then you're kind of up to speed and kind of could speak casually with everyone without sounding like you're super slow,
Right. Okay. So That's crazy. So being naive to this, are you considered Ukrainian or Russian?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I guess I'm flexible depending on the crowd I'm in, you know?
You're fluid?
Yeah, I guess I'm flexible depending on the crowd I'm in. I guess like technically like Moldovan probably, because that's kind of where I was born.
Okay.
But then I kind of grew up basically in Ukraine, and I moved here already at 10.
Okay, so you came here at 10. What brought you over here? Your parents or?
Parents, yeah.
Yeah.
So we moved to Southern California, and then I kind of lived there for about 20 years. I did the whole education system there, went to University High School,
Yeah.
and then right across the street to University of California, Irvine. And then after that, I moved to Texas for 4 years, and then now I'm kind of in the middle of possibly moving somewhere else to live a bit closer with my parents.
Right. And did you know English when you first came here, or did you have to learn it in Southern California?
No English, and they didn't have any Russian translators. Not blaming the school system, it's not their problem. This is how I actually met my best friend Dmitry, because he didn't speak English either, but we're the only two kids in Russian that spoke, or only two kids in the class that spoke Russian. So they sat us together, so at least we had someone to speak to, you know?
Oh.
And this is how I made friends with my best friend that's still best friend even to this day. So
How long does it take you to learn? Do you just kind of acclimate over the years and just understand?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, for the most part, I was doing nothing in school outside of for math and the art class,
Right.
because it was tough to understand anything else, right?
Right.
And there was no translator or anything. My parents went out of their way, and they did hire a few tutors that I had over the years, and then really try to spend a lot of time with me on teaching the basics of English and stuff of that sort, and that's kind of how I picked it up. And then you make friends, you kind of learn quite quickly because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
And they really pushed not speaking Russian at home. That way I can learn the language much, much faster. So I think that helped quite a bit as well.
Okay, very cool. And then what did your parents do as far as work when they first came over here?
Yeah, they did. Let me see if I could even remember it. So they did whatever they could. I think initially they're working at some bakery at night to make the cookies and all that stuff, so it's ready in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I know my mom worked for IHOP for a long time as a waitress. And then my dad, he was washing dogs, and then eventually got a job at painting houses or a moving company. Yeah, various things over the years. So
It's the true story of immigrants coming over and working their ass off and, creating a life. And now you've got a great life because of it.
no, it's true. And then we moved to Irvine, California, and that's kind of where they started. And then now they're in my dad's already retired, and then my mom has been in IT for I don't know, 30 years, quite a long time already.
That's amazing. And your mom seems from the pictures that I see or whatever, and all the stuff that you do, she seems to be a little bit younger.
Both of my parents are early 60s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't sound that old, seeing that I'm 51.
Yeah,
But
it sneaks up on. Hey, I'm right behind you, man. So
that's crazy. Well,
sneaks up on you faster than you think.
How old are you now?
I'm 40.
You're 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big 4-0. So have you always been into, was that 10-year-old kid, was he into fitness and lifting weights and doing all that stuff? Did you watch Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rocky and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. The Predator 1 is one of my favorite movies, and according to various studies, 85% of married men agree that Predator 1 is better than Marriage.
Yes.
And I don't know the exact number of the study, but you could look it up yourself. But yeah, that movie was great. I remember watching that movie for the first time, and then I was watching it with my dad, and it's forever ago at this point. I must have seen it 20 times at this point as well. And I remember I was like, Dad, I want to be just like that. And he's like, his first response was you got to take karate classes. And then next day I was in Taekwondo class. I think it was Kim's Taekwondo in Irvine.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, of course I was into all those. I mean, who wasn't into those movies?
Rocky 4, were you going for Drago or for Rocky?
Drago.
The true Russian speaks.
I stopped watching once he started losing, I'm like, that's it. Now it's American propaganda this going forward,
Oh, it's so funny. So we have the short Italian Delo and we have the Russian Eugene on a podcast. Yeah. It's like Rocky 4.
Yeah, but they teamed up in
they did
Dispendables.
Yes.
So they all came together and are friends after all,
They sure did. All those guys kind of hook up together. Okay, so that's cool. So yeah, you kind of have the same story as I do, and granted you're 10 years behind me, 11 years behind me, but it's still all that same generation of seeing all those guys like just totally jacked, and those action movies were absolutely the best. And I mean, if you were just a child of the, you know, the 80s, 90s, it was like that's what you did. You went and you worked out. You wanted to be like your favorite, you know, super action hero and stuff like that. So I know I had like I had a basement because I lived in Atlanta for a little bit, and I had a basement with these concrete weights, you know, with the plastic around them.
Yeah.
You remember those? Did you have those?
Concrete weights. I did have like cinder blocks that I used like in my initial weight set. I think my dad got me like just like super simple dumbbells. I had a few pair of them, and then like some cinder blocks that and I was doing like some random stuff with that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't remember the concrete blocks. But,
Yeah.
I mean, anything works, you know.
The Joe Weider weights and stuff like that, like all those crazy things. So, all right, so when you get out of Irvine, you get out of college or what did you study in college?
Psychology.
Okay.
Yeah, college was kind of like a last-minute thing for me. Initially, like I just wanted to go to the military, but then I had a back injury right at the end of high school. And then I'm like, well, I don't know what to do now. And I guess I'll just go to college. So I went right across the street to the University of California, Irvine, and they handed me a book with all these majors. I never even thought about any majors, and they're like, well, just pick one. And then I just picked one. And that's kind of how I got into it. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, just luckily I took like high school semi-seriously, so I was able to get into the college system there. And I enjoyed my time there. I really liked UCI. It was a great atmosphere. I mean, basically, like my whole life revolved around the science library and the gym. And I just like that kind of like a very regimented system, you know, like going and working out in the morning. I played on the UCI paintball team for quite a while as well.
Yeah.
I think like Kyle Nagao for starting that. He's like a Naval Academy, not a graduate, but he went to the Naval Academy for a while, and then he kind of transferred to UCI, and I kind of became friends with him. And that's how I eventually traveled to Japan for a little while through his aunt and uncle. But I enjoyed my time there. I think it's like a great university, and it was just really fun to be really just dedicated to academics and also just to training. And I kind of honestly just kept that schedule even to this day. So I just heavily focus on just working out and then continuing my research, you know, writing books, et cetera, et cetera.
That explains a lot. I mean, you are that same person, legitimately. And a lot of, even the book that you referred to me as like a psychological, you know, I wouldn't call it a thriller, but it's very interesting. It's very difficult. Have you always been kind of, so to me, psychology is so hard to understand and read, and especially somebody where English is your second language. Was there like just a natural ability to dig into that, or did you struggle with it?
Yeah, I was kind of lucky enough, like early. I know a lot of people have trouble like finding something they genuinely like to do without putting much effort into it.
Yeah.
So I was luckily just coincidentally ran into that. I mean, my journey started a long time ago in the beginning with my grandmother, and obviously that's how I learned about initially biodynamic farming and the ability just to have like a good reference point of what sustainable lifestyles look like.
Yeah.
And then my dad got me into lifting weights at a very early age. So I started going to the gym with him already at like 10 and very consistently. And just, it was one of those things where I just like really liked it just for the sake of liking it, you know, just going to the gym, especially having that lifestyle that supports that consistent discipline, and then learning about, you know, how to be more disciplined.
Yeah.
As a human and kind of stay consistent with your goals and see your goals through, and the whole psychology behind that, and the psychology behind like why you don't see goals through. It kind of like is a never ending, you kind of start going down that rabbit hole and it kind of never ends, but it's all like very, very fascinating to me. And it's nothing like I had to really motivate myself to do.
Yeah.
If anything, I had to kind of, in order to establish a little bit more balance in my life, especially a bit more of a social life, I had to motivate myself sometimes not to do it as much, you know what I mean? Stuff of that sort.
Yeah, because the social life would get in the way.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. No, wow.
I mean, it does.
This is all tracking. I've known you for 2.5 years, and it's funny, like, you almost, like, have to get on a podcast to, like, really ask these questions, because when I do talk to you during, like, coaching sessions, it's pretty brief and to the point, and it's like, okay, you know, where are you at this week? But it's really good to kind of dig in and really understand the man and where the background is from and what's going on. And so as we dig a little bit further, you living with your grandmother, she had a farm, or...
Yeah, she just had kind of like, it's not like a commercial operation,
Yeah.
just a small like self-sustaining thing going on, and that's about it.
And that's where you learned a lot of like the agricultural stuff to begin with, and
Yeah, well, back then I just thought like everyone kind of farmed this way, as I mentioned on the podcast. I didn't even know anything else existed, you know? She showed like, hey, you know, you could just grow things with water, and your
Right.
animals, it's okay to leave them running outside all the time and stuff of that sort, so.
Did you ever fall into the trap of like getting chubby and eating fast food and any of that, or had you always been just kind of like growing towards the aspect of just research and eating clean and all that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for the first 10 years, Just Eating was on my grandma's ranch,
Yeah.
so that's like all like biodynamic and beyond organic. But luckily, even when we came here, I mean, my parents were very health conscious all the time. And they're always feeding me whole food. I never got into fast food. I never got into drinking like soda or eating any processed food. So just kind of like, not because of my doing, but just happened to be surrounded by the right caregivers initially to kind of get that ball rolling in the right place. And I feel like once it's done at an early age, it's kind of easy for the kid to kind of keep up with it, you know, because oftentimes, I mean, as you know, your dad yourself, your kids are probably 80% of what they learn from you is just by watching what you do.
For sure.
Not even like what you tell them. Probably what you tell them means almost not that much at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And when you're younger, and if you have that sort of those sort of processes and those systems, and that's what you relate to food and feeling good, then you're not going to be the type of person that's going to be asking to go to McDonald's, because you know it's complete crap at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever get into alcohol or ever drink or?
No, there's like, honestly, even during all of my time in college, I probably went out to like 2 or 3 different parties. It was never my thing. I went to like a few raves here and there, but that's mainly because I just really liked like the heavy bass music. And maybe I would have like a drink or 2 there, but never get into like doing drugs or anything of that sort.
Yeah.
Just luckily, I just, like I said, just had a real natural inclination to just enjoying living this kind of disciplined lifestyle and sleeping well, having good looking skin, getting a good pump in the gym. All these little things, they're kind of little things at the end of the day, but they meant a lot to me. And I luckily just found kind of like a quick little algorithm that worked for me to make me like just really happy day after day.
Yeah.
And luckily it was just very simple to do and super accessible everywhere, and I just kind of kept at it.
So what was your first job that you ever had? You had to work for somebody?
Oh yeah, I started working actually quite early. I think I was probably like 12 or 13
that's
at
good.
the Costa Mesa swap meet.
Child labor laws.
Yeah. I worked for this rug salesman there, and I just kind of like on the weekends, he would come pick me up at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and we would go lay out the rugs and then kind of sell some of the rugs.
Right on.
And it was, his name was Vitalik. It was my dad's friend. He came here from Belarus at about the same time my parents came here, and they kind of became friends as well.
Okay.
He was my first employer, and I learned like a little bit of sales from him, you know, how to lay out products, et cetera, talk to customers. And it was funny, there's this one Vietnamese guy at the store next to him, or at the parking lot next to him. It was like an outdoor swap meet. He's like selling rugs as well, and they would kind of compete. And Vitalik would usually sell a lot more rugs during the day, and he's like, okay, well, today you buy the rice, I buy the steaks, you know? So, I don't know, it was pretty funny.
No, that is, oh my God, that's funny. So you go doing that, obviously at a young age, but you're very much into fitness and all those sorts of things. And then I assume like the different fitness schools and the certifications and all that sort of stuff that you did kind of had brought you on track to create Trufkin Athletics and, you know, what you do now, correct?
Yeah, those certifications they're good, but you know, like reading stuff, I think most of what I got is just through coincidentally running into really good mentors over my life, and then kind of trial and error of what would work for me.
Okay.
And then also, luckily, just having a lot of different clients to work with.
Yeah.
And you quickly see over the years, like this works, this doesn't work in the real world, you know, and I've trained probably at this point, like pretty much a person from every single different occupation, at every single different education level, ethnicity, different health status where they're beginning from. And you it's easy to kind of start seeing trends of like, hey, this is what works all the time. This is what rarely works, and then you just kind of do the stuff that works, basically.
Yeah. So you're 40 now. When did you pick up your first client?
I was 20 years old.
20? Okay.
Yeah.
You've been doing it 20 years?
20 years old. I first I was actually coaching a few friends before then.
Yeah.
But it wasn't kind of like at a professional level or anything of that sort. And then my first actual job was at a 24-hour fitness, when they first started, like way back when. And I remember I was going there a lot. It was on Culver Drive in like Irvine. And the manager came up to me one time and he's like, hey man, I saw you checked in like 420 times last year, and we're looking for new trainers part-time. And we'll send you to this course, I think it was called like Apex Training or NASM, I forgot exactly at this point. And we'll pay for the course, and then you just train for us part-time while you go to school.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of how it got started. So.
And then how is your process? And because your onboarding process is great, you really get to know the individual, and I can state this because I've been through it and I've been coached by you. So how has that process changed over the years to where you've now gotten into asking people about their core values? You've created these these spreadsheets of like different foods and macros and having them calculate on that spreadsheet. And how do you? And this is a lot of questions, I know.
No,
and how do you now look at that individual, and with all of your knowledge, I assume there's a process that goes into picking the certain exercises for, i.e. the physique, the feeling, like all that goes on.
Yeah, I mean, even from the very beginning, I always took a very kind of broad, and I hate using this word, but kind of holistic approach with challenging health issues. I always knew, like in the beginning, like, hey, it's not going to be enough just to show this person a few exercises.
Right.
In terms of to conclusively solve whatever health issue or aesthetic issue they're challenged with. Because oftentimes it's like an issue with the environment, the external environment, maybe poor time management skills, and inability to even lay out a concrete schedule, like you mentioned, with the core values, and then have that schedule aligned with their core values so they actually have enough motivation to actually want to do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if it's not, and your schedule is full with a bunch of things you don't want to be doing, you're going to find ways to sabotage yourself, because even unconscious, or probably even consciously sense it, if you are, through hard work, only get more of what you don't want, you're going to find ways to sabotage yourself, because that's going to be associated with more and more pain. So these things are quite important, because information is great, but it's usually not enough, because you inevitably have to change the person's belief system that leads to certain behaviors over time that lead to either certain metabolic health issues or hormonal health issues or aesthetic issues, et cetera, et cetera. Because with chronic health issues, inevitably it's the person that's causing the disease, So you got to change the person, and oftentimes that's at the thinking and emotional dimension, maybe the spiritual dimension as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's, how do I say? The way that you, and I've hired a lot of coaches over the years, and everybody's great in their own realm, but the way that you do it is definitely a whole wraparound of a little bit of all that sort of stuff, and it really resonates when you talk about like somebody approaches you and they want to change, they want to do things, but if their core values aren't in line and they're not willing to give up A to get to B, they're just never ever going to get there. They're just not ready.
That's pretty much exactly what happens in healthcare. We refer to these clients as the 401k clients, because you put them on a retainer, and then they fund your trips, your basically retirement plan, because they don't go anywhere. They keep coming back with the same health issues all the time. Yeah,
and your process is really to have somebody come in, get the education, the information, the health, the systems, and the habits, and then basically I almost like fire them, because they can go do it themselves.
That's more of an Eastern European approach to healthcare. So
Yeah.
I learned maybe in the beginning, for sure, there needs to be micromanagement,
Yeah.
But over time, you need to teach the person to be their own mechanic.
Right.
Because fortunately or unfortunately, whichever vantage point you want to look at it from, just mental and physical health, it's a very high maintenance activity, and that's just how it is, and it's not going to change. So inevitably, the person needs to know what to do to maintain those two things without you being around. And for some people, they may learn it quickly, like you learned it super quickly. But you also had a solid
Had it in
foundation
me,
too.
right.
You know, for some people it takes much longer, but inevitably it must be done. The person must be educated on what they are doing to cause their issue, and then realistic steps given their lifestyle demands and whatever their goals are in life on how to stop themselves from doing that.
Yeah.
So that education 100% has to be there. And if it's not there, you just kind of run into these symptom management loops. And kind of like Walensky would say, managing symptoms only yields more symptoms over time. And that's always the case. It's great for making money because, you know, in the 30s, the person's on high blood pressure medication. In their 40s, they're on high blood pressure and statins. In their 50s, they're on high blood pressure, statins, and antidepressants, and on, you know? So it kind of creates this recurring client, which is great for making income off the person, but just not fair for the patient that generally wants to get better and maybe is a little bit naive in terms of like what's actually out there and what's required to actually get better.
It's probably not satisfactory for you either. I mean, you don't want to just, I mean, you're not the type of personality to just take people's money. If anything, you're just like, nah, you know, we're done sort of thing. Like I have to beg to just stay, you know. So I can kind of really understand that, but I wanted to talk to you specifically. This was one of the questions that I definitely wanted to get into. I want to look at, okay, I know when talking to you, things are quote unquote, like they're not that complicated. It's very basic. We do these things, that sort of thing. But, you know, a lot of my people listening are, you know, they're business people or, you know, they have that avatar of a restaurant worker, maybe a restaurant owner, maybe somebody that, yeah, I get it. It's basic. Get your sleep. You know, a lot of times these men or women, they're working until midnight or 1 o'clock or, you know, they just, and again, yes, it could go back to your core values. Okay, do you really need that restaurant job if health is your number one focus? But let's just play a game here. Let's just say that this avatar is what it is. Is it still, and these people, they have to work, they have to do their thing. What's some advice you could kind of give to them in a simplistic approach to where they could at least benefit the most that they can without having to change too much of, you know, their established lifestyle work-wise?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the thing is, it's very tough to give concrete advice unless that person's specifically sitting here and telling me the exact situation they're facing.
Yeah.
But generally, also important to note is when you're trying to solve problems, there's no need to put stress on yourself to solve the complete problem. Even if you start chipping away at it in certain ways, that's already a great start. And in fact, if you start with that strategy instead of trying to think of like, how could I solve this completely right away, and you start chipping away at it, the problem becomes less daunting. As you chip a little bit here, chip a little bit there, all of a sudden the problem doesn't seem as big. And it can kind of give you more ideas or more confidence to kind of solve the problem outright. So some people can go cold turkey for sure,
Yeah.
but it's not right for everyone. And I think most people just benefit by doing things gradually. So I'm a big believer in kind of, first and foremost, people overestimate how much time it takes to be healthy.
Yeah.
It doesn't take nearly as much time as people think. In fact, for weight loss clients, they don't even need to work out, okay? You don't need to work out to lose weight, like, at all. You could easily be like 15% body fat even without stepping a single second into the gym. It's not something I would recommend, but I'm just saying it's possible to do.
Yeah.
And the person has to eat anyway, so might as well just educate them on the right things to eat most of the time, and they can get to their goal. Now, having said that, I think it's critical. There's so much to cover here, but I think the easiest topic to start with is creating automated systems for a lot of their health goals. And a lot of people don't have this, and a lot of their health goals take up too much time. And if they're already working like 50, 60 hours, it just becomes unsustainable. It becomes very brittle. Like they may be able to do it for a few weeks, but then, like you mentioned, an employee or two quits at the restaurant, and now they have to work until like 1 a.m., and things fall apart like so quickly. So an example of like an automated system is like, for instance, with me, I've covered this with you a lot. I basically get up in the morning, you know, as I'm drinking my coffee, in a rice cooker, like literally a single rice cooker. I throw like a pound of chicken in there, for example, a cup of rice, 2 cups of like organic vegetables, and some seasoning. Leave it cooking while I'm at the gym. When I come back from the gym, it's all done. I put it in you could even just use 2 glass Tupperware containers. You put it in one, you eat that one, you fill up the second one again, and then the third one. So basically, you're using 2 Tupperware containers. You have no cleanup in the kitchen whatsoever, and you don't have to sit in front of the stove, which saves you a lot of time. And I just don't even know how to cook. So if I can do it, literally anyone can do it. I've survived 40 years somehow without knowing how to cook. And then, as I'm taking a shower, just take a shower, get out, your food's ready, et cetera, and you have your meals for the whole entire day. And it's really that simple. And the only thing I have to clean there is just 2 glass Tupperware containers, which is like seconds.
Right.
And then that pot, which is another few seconds. And just little things like this. I know it seems insignificant, but even that right there probably saves a good 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
And to optimize your mental and physical health to look your best, you need about like 10 hours a week. So it's not that much, you know? You need 4 like 45 to 60-minute workouts.
Yeah.
And then, 5 or 6 hours for the background stuff that's required to support that, whatever that may be, like grocery shopping. Even for grocery shopping, you can kind of just go shopping for 1 week in advance and buy everything you need for the whole week to reduce your time. Or Amazon Fresh even delivers the same day for $10.
Yeah.
To most places, not everywhere, but you could even do that, and that kind of saves you quite a bit of time. The average American spends about 15 hours a week on social media.
Right.
Another 5 hours on the news. That's 20 hours right there, man. That's already a part-time job, just scrolling around, and it kind of sometimes goes back to lack of awareness, but also maybe a misalignment in core values. Once those core values get aligned and that awareness is there, people quickly start seeing like, hey, this is possible. This doesn't take up that much time. I'm not trying to be like an Olympian.
Yeah.
And it's totally doable.
I think it comes down to the aspect of it's not having to overwork out, having to do so many things, which I've been attributed to wanting to do just because of my personality. But it really all just comes down to time management. And now what I've learned, by getting my, 4 or 5 really good workouts in during the week is rest is king, And now that I know my food systems, I know all those sorts of things, now I have all this quote unquote time to do other things that I enjoy, like play with my dogs, play guitar, hang out with my wife on the weekends, whereas before I was still working on weekends, and checking emails and doing things. And so I think for people in hospitality, especially if they're listening to this, it's one of those things where it's like, you do have long hours, you're on your feet a lot, but there's a lot less that you could be doing if you manage your time the right way. There's if you just do a few other things, you could really get into a situation of being healthy as opposed to not healthy.
Yeah, and even sometimes doing simple things like getting your workouts in only on the days you're off. Just to free up your schedule a little bit on the week if you feel already too overwhelmed during the week. So it's possible when you know what to look for. Oftentimes, I know this is a little bit biased because I'm a coach. Oftentimes, just kind of hiring someone can really help fast track that. You could learn it yourself for sure, but then it requires a lot of trial and error, and you have to have the diligence to kind of make a lot of mistakes, you know what I mean, and be okay with it, and then kind of keep moving forward versus just hiring someone that can kind of just show you like, hey, I've been doing this like for 30, 40 years. Like, here's what works, okay? You just need to do this, and it kind of basically takes away 40 years of mistakes, and you can do it in 6 months versus having to take 40 years to learn all that.
I think even in my case, like even when you kind of know what you're doing, like I'm a little bit more elite on the fitness because I've been doing fitness my whole life, and then obviously I'd gotten away from it. But if you're able to pay for something that creates value and have somebody to talk to, it just definitely helps, And I think that's in any industry. We're always looking for specialists or people to help us. If we're going to do a living trust, we're usually going to employ an attorney to help us put that together because we don't really, most of us don't know how to do that on our own, or an accountant that will usually do our taxes instead of going the TurboTax and trying to, possibly figure this stuff out. I think if anything, a fitness, nutrition, spiritual coach all wrapped in one is probably more important, if not just as important as all that stuff, because you're dealing with your mindset and your body that helps you feel good.
Yeah, and pretty much anyone you see that's very successful in life, 100% didn't do it on their own.
No.
I've had many, many mentors over the years that I'm very, very thankful for. I'm sure you've had many mentors over. It's just you can't know everything. And you got to be humble a little bit sometimes and say like, hey, I don't know this, and maybe I don't want to spend the next 10 years full time just trying to understand it myself. You know what I mean? And on the other hand, it's really, I would say, pretty impossible to solve a problem with the same belief system that led to the problem.
Yeah, for sure.
So you need an outside person to come in there and kind of saturate whatever you have going on to help you accomplish then that next step in your life, whatever that may be for that person.
Who are some of your mentors that's helped you?
Yeah, I've had many. I'm sure I'm going to forget some of them here off the top of my head, and I'm sorry if I did. But like my grandma, starting off, my dad, Paula Check, Jador Pierre, Alan Goez. So you put me on the spot here. I always forget.
Right.
Indirect, I've also worked with Brian Carroll, great help with spine and hip pathologies, Stuart McGill. A lot of authors like Stefan Walensky was huge,
For sure.
He's a big game changer for me, although I didn't meet him personally, just his books were a big impact on me. I'm going to hate it, but I'm pretty sure I forgot. I know I forgot like a few people off the top of my head. But
it's okay. But I think the point I'm trying to make is that for somebody like you that's helping people, you've had a lot of people come into your life to help you get to the point where you're at. And I think that comes with experience and expertise and all that sort of stuff. And I can tell you, in my 50s now as opposed to my 40s, I feel on a different ledge of wisdom and availability to give people more, not just in life of like insurance of what I do, but just in life in general. I mean, I learn a lot from you mentoring me, or Jeremy Scott, or Michael, and and others that teach me about food and health and wellness. And it's funny because I'm not a fitness coach or a fitness trainer, but I get asked a lot of those questions all the time because of what I've been able to do with my body and how I live, and I'm able to give back the best that I can, but also refer people to the more professionals that do that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, to give you credit, you're probably better than more knowledgeable than 95% of in-person trainers out there. So I can say that with quite a bit of confidence.
Well, I appreciate that. But I'm also neurotic, and I think, to kind of talk about it and get into it. And I always joke with you about this. And I think it's important for people that are listening to me here on Delo's podcast, understanding the methodology and the things that I did. I know I talked about obviously being sober and eating right and how fitness can affect your business and just all these different things and why I did a bodybuilding show. But make no bones about it, people. I struggle. I struggle with ego. I struggle with the fact that, one day I'm looking like this at 8% and I'm thinking that's, manageable or maintainable. And then I'm not eating as much as I probably should be. And I'm lifting 3 times a day or whatever ridiculousness that it is. And meanwhile, I have a mentor and I have a coach that's telling me exact opposite of what, but for whatever reason inside of our heads. And I know some of you listening probably go through this too. It's like more is better. I got to do that. And what I'm really learning from you, in the present, and when I say present, it's because I'm actually learning and listening now, even though in the past you've been telling me this, is, again, we're going to say it again, less is more. And to be a business person that has a life and doing things, to live at a level of single-digit body fat is... It's really an ego thing, and it's not. And when I do my blood tests and I find out my testosterone levels are dropping down because my body's not getting the nutrients, or it's not having the energy, my cortisol levels are stressed out. I mean, all those sorts of things. But these are the things that we have to learn as Type A individuals sometimes. And now, sitting at 13 to 15%, I've never felt healthier or better. But also realizing that when I came to you, I was at, and these are just numbers, it doesn't really mean anything, but it gives you a perspective. I was at 22%, which you had said earlier was basically, fat people percentage at that point. Even though I wasn't fat, I was still, my wife was like, you still look great. My wife doesn't give a shit if I'm 8%. She could care less. She thought I was great then, right? This is all about me, my ego, what's going on. And so I think there comes a point where you're either doing alternative stuff to get you to stay at a point where your ego's happy, or you're just doing the things that you need to do on a natural level, and you're feeling good all the time, and you're still looking good, but you have to assimilate that with saying, I look good, right? You have to believe it.
Yeah, and no point of being single digits as like especially as a female, but moreover as a male. I think if people are super into their metabolic health, like 10 or 12% is the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And I feel, like I mentioned to you before, too low a body fat percentage just plummets your test, and then obviously your hormones are kind of like a symphony in your body, So as you alter one, it has an impact on all the other ones, and it kind of ruins your HPA axis regulation as well. And then also there's the aspect of like, we spoke about this before, like, a little bit higher body fat percentage, your face actually looks better, and you kind of sleep better and stuff of that sort. So, and I think the muscle looks fuller too, because there's a little bit more body fat to it, but it gives it much nicer look. And you also don't look like you're a recovering maybe cancer patient.
Yeah, Skeletor.
Yeah.
Right. Excuse me, are you sick, right?
It's like, no, I'm just shredded.
Well, you can also, but I mean, for the mainstream public people out here, it's like, you can also kind of enjoy your life. Like, I know this isn't your thing. Like, I know you said that, sometimes you'll go out to eat with your parents and you'll have, protein. You can't really overstack on protein. But most of the people listening to this, they don't give a shit about that. They want to go have, a meal or two out and not really worry about it. And I still think you can do that if that's your thing and still maintain a relatively healthy body fat percentage, feel good, move good. Just keep up with your workouts and eat good 90% of the time. And, and maybe that going out with your family a couple times a week and not too worried about what the macros is on that cheeseburger french fry meal, right, for that one meal, I think psychologically can help too. Now, I've gone the opposite direction where I've taken a whole day and I've ate like a absolute, pig. I don't really think that, again, that's just attributable to my personality. But after doing that and experimenting with that a few times, it's like, I feel disgusting. I can't move. I'm not sleeping well. I'm literally sweating in my sleep. I'm definitely gaining weight because you don't.
That must have been Taco Bell Tuesday then.
Something like that. Yeah, it was like, everything. So like if you can create some sort, and I hate using the word balance because it gets so overused, but it's so attributable to just creating like a balance sort of thing where it's like, you know what, I've been living off my chicken and my egg whites for the last 3 days. I'm going to go out with my son and we're going to go have some tacos tonight, and I'm not going to stress over it. But what I'm not going to do, if you're listening, what you're not going to do is go have like a second meal and then 4 desserts, right? It's just like, because that just kind of blows up your week at that point. And I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I mean, I do encourage my clients during the lifestyle phase to eat out. You know, obviously, I encourage them to eat out more like sushi, steak, like whole food options. The main thing you kind of want to stay away from on a chronic basis is alcohol for sure, or like liquid calories. But definitely eating out is totally fine. I would say like one thing people can do if they don't want to eat out larger volumes but feel like they're eating out a lot more is just eat out one meal like on Wednesday and then another one on Saturday. Yeah. So it kind of feels like you're eating out way more frequently than you are. And then you probably can get like 2 workouts in between then if you do like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah. So it kind of helps absorb, the glycogen, or helps use up the glycogens probably stored from those meals. But definitely doesn't have to be super restrictive. Maybe it's best to be more strict during like a fat loss phase. Yeah. But remember, a lot of people get confused too because fat loss phases are kind of like treatment plans. It's not something that anyone's supposed to do their whole life. Right. And it's just meant to treat you for your excess body fat and then immediately transition to something that's more sustainable, like some type of lifestyle program and like a muscle development program like we have you on currently. And the good thing too, once you gain more muscle, you're no longer like a Prius. Yeah. You're like a Cadillac now. So you burn way more calories by doing the same amount of work. So it makes it more like you gain, 10 pounds of muscle. Let's say you're working out really hard 4 days a week. I mean, probably you're burning an extra like 70 calories per pound, But that's like 10 pounds, 700 extra calories per day. Now multiply that by 10, that's 7,000 extra calories that you burned in 10 days without actually doing anything different in your lifestyle, So you become more calorically, I guess, inefficient. Yeah. In that case, which is a good thing in this perspective, maybe not in wilderness survival, but when food is abundant, that's probably like a good thing because then you could go get sushi twice a week and you're not going to step on that scale. And if it does go up, it's just water weight and it kind of plummets 1 or 2 days later anyways. And that way you don't have to stick to these like Soylent Green 800 calorie a day diets. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've seen that movie.
No.
Oh, classic Soylent Green?
No.
Oh, man, dude, D'Lo.
Dude.
Just one disappointment
I'm
after
gonna
another
write-
today on our podcast, man.
You and I have different. You're Russian. I don't watch your stuff.
Yeah, it's an American movie.
Oh, is it?
But Soylent Green is like this movie that took place in the future, and they basically encouraged people to eat like plant-based food, and it's called like Soylent Green. They would give you these kind of packets of chips, basically, and you would eat them. But it turned out what they were doing was basically, as people died, they would recycle them into food, into those Soylent crackers, and then feed them back to people.
Oh, gross. Okay.
And the one guy that discovered this tried to tell everyone, and they thought he was crazy and ended up killing him.
Oh my God, dude, he's got weird movies to watch.
It's my type of movie, man.
Well, and you bring up a good point. Like the muscle building phase, especially somebody in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, if they can still build muscle. I mean, that's a long phase. That's a 4 to 5 year phase, I would assume.
I'd say it's lifelong.
Lifelong, right? Yeah.
Once they finish the fat loss phase, like for you, I would honestly just suggest staying on
just
that.
keep on it. Yeah.
On full blast,
And then just eat to build the muscle. And because the one thing I will say, now that I've just kind of let go of like trying to be 139 pounds every week, is like now when I look at the scale and I see that it's going up strategically, I do feel like the weight of muscle. I feel thicker. I feel stronger. I'm increasing my weight. Like there's a lot of satisfaction that goes along with that, as opposed to the different satisfaction of saying, "Oh, I'm so light." It's a different sort of thing. I'm trying to get over victim weight.
Yeah, and then the scale, it's just one form of measurement.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you got to look in the mirror too. You got to ask, like, honestly, how well do I feel?
Right.
How are my strength levels in the gym, my strength endurance, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes it's easy to get fixated on blood work too.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, you're not treating numbers, you're treating the person,
For sure.
So numbers are important, but they also change over time. What people think is like a healthy blood work today, it may not be the case, like 10 years from now. So at the end of the day, you got to look like, hey, do I look good? Do I feel really good? And then kind of use all that other stuff to gain more insight, on how well you're doing.
So let's talk about, for people listening, the basic theory of calories in, calories out sort of thing that everybody talks about, and your theory on how people are probably just inflaming themselves because they're going to, say, spin class, and then they're doing some yoga, and then maybe they're, climbing a mountain, or, what do you feel about like triathletes that are just destroying their, I would assume, their cortisol levels and all that, but then everybody's like, well, if they're burning 10,000 calories, they can eat 10,000 calories. What's your whole philosophy on that?
Well, personally, I don't think athletics are done for health reasons. Right? It's to optimize your performance in that particular task.
Okay.
So if you're looking to be healthy, the best way to be healthy is just to kind of be into fitness. How that looks is going to vary a little bit from person to person, but like for you, it would be like 4 workouts a week, with weights, and then kind of going for walks with your dogs, and then really focusing on sourcing high quality food.
Yep.
Managing your workload appropriately, maybe having like a sprinkle of supplements here and there, but not depending even too heavily on those, and stuff of that sort. So when we're dealing with athletics, we're dealing with performance and not health oftentimes. That's why a lot of pro athletes, they're like a complete mess by the time they retire, at 35 or 40. Because oftentimes they have to retire. It's not like something they want to do. It's oftentimes their whole identity for a lot of people. But when you have, 3 blown out discs in your neck, and your knees are already given out, like after you keep walking, there's only so much you can play football, so many painkillers you can take before your kidneys start failing.
You've overused your body. You've overused everything. It's kind of an ego thing almost.
Yeah, I would say even for kids, parents aren't going to like this for sure, but I would just recommend for the longevity and health of your kids, unless they're like really dead set on being pro athletes, just to really teach them more about like just how to maintain a good looking and healthy body using weights and stuff of this sort, and what real food is like. Maybe go to like a wildatarian diet, and be in tune with nonviolent forms of communication. I think that's important to teach kids at a young age, and stuff of this sort. That's what's going to keep them super healthy. That way, their body isn't super wrecked by the time they get out of college, and they got to get a normal job anyways. You know what I mean? And now they have this normal job, but plus, really bad back pain or stuff of this sort. I don't think it's also like a healthy way to learn about health and wellness. Anyways, a lot of people are going to not like that I said that, but yeah, I mean, it is true. The injury rate is extremely high with collegiate athletes, and they're just in their early 20s, you know?
Yeah.
And they're already having like having hip replacement surgery and stuff of this sort.
There's a lot of overdoing things that don't need to be overdone. And like we've just talked about this ad nauseum, probably not on this podcast. We've been on so many things and talked about things, but like you said, I'll trigger it, but you say it more eloquently. Like our central nervous system, our minds aren't, you know, at capacity to be dealing with all the things that are coming into our mindset. We're still very tribal, but yet we don't act it anymore.
Yeah. And then also like a lot of the skills that kids learn from athletics, you know, like seeing goals through, being regimented. You could learn that from living a health conscious lifestyle too, you know? Like right now, you're not a pro athlete, but you're very regimented. You have clear cut goals. You know how to see those goals through and have the psychology behind it and stuff of that sort. You know what I mean? So you can learn a lot of those skills that then they can translate into their workplace or whenever they get into the workforce and stuff of that sort.
For sure.
Because that's one of the arguments is like, oh, they'll learn social skills and they'll learn goal setting and how to be tough and stuff of that sort. But I'm just saying you can learn all that stuff just by following like a holistic health path too.
I like it. Yeah, I like that. Would you say the ability to build muscle and workout could be done from like anywhere? Let's just say somebody doesn't want to join a gym. Like, what's a good alternative for them to do some stuff? I mean, could you just buy like a couple of dumbbells and figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, hello, look at your gym.
Yeah,
You're not going to the gym. Yeah, I mean, you could just, all you would, you really don't need much. I mean, if you want to invest in some things, just an adjustable dumbbell pair, like an adjustable bench that goes from decline flat to incline, and like a cheap $20 pull-up bar for your door.
Yeah, okay.
You know? And you could already build like a phenomenal body just from that alone with a good program design and like the lifestyle to support it as well. You don't need much. I mean, you're an example, you know?
Yeah.
Like, not that your gym is like a bad gym, but it's accessible. Like pretty much anyone can build it out. You know, it's not like over the top. You know what I mean? And it has everything you need. You don't need much.
No, I've acquired some more stuff based on your recommendations, which have been great. Would you say that pull-ups, squats, some sort of like press, I mean, those are like the Mac Daddies of like all exercises?
Yeah, I would say like even with back squats and deadlifts are totally like 100% not necessary for most people. The only people that are 100% necessary are people that are specifically trying to get good at like powerlifting.
Yeah.
They're great exercises. I would say just the risk to reward ratio is really offset.
Okay.
Especially it requires a tremendous amount of education to be able to do those lifts right.
Yeah.
And the average person isn't going to do that level of education. And even if they kind of seek out coaching, oftentimes it's very tough to find coaches that are very competent on teaching those kind of lifts. And I just find it's just a very high risk injury because not so much of the exercise, but more of human error. So, you know, there's only so perfect you can be for so many years. And eventually you're going to, you know, round your back a little bit while deadlifting 3 plates on each side, you know what I mean? Or kind of shift your hips a little bit to the side. And maybe your back was already feeling quite stiff for one reason or another because you had a long 8-hour meeting the day before. And all of a sudden you blew out your disc, you know, and then you're done for like 2 years. It actually takes about 10 years for the disc to fully gristle over, a whole decade. So it's quite a long time. And there's just so many safer alternative exercises that can get you from A to B.
Right.
So a lot of times when doing exercise selection, you got to be very clear on your goals first. And then you got to go like, what tools can I use to achieve these goals in the safest way possible? You know, because the deadlifts and the back squats will probably achieve those goals for you. But are there, let's say I want to build big bulky legs, like upper legs, right? That's my goal. Okay, yeah. I mean, you could do a deadlift and you could do a barbell back squat for sure. Or maybe we could just have you doing like various lunging motions or single leg presses as well, or even leg presses, especially teaching you not to round your back at the end. And they can build very bulky legs and are much, much safer, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
And don't require a gargantuous amount of education too, like a squat.
Yeah, because there's nothing worse than injury. Injury is just, it can really sideline somebody, both, mentally especially, where you're just like, am I going to ever get back to normal?
Yeah, you lose confidence in your body.
Yeah.
When you get injured, you're like, man, it's so fragile now. I don't know, like, if I make this wrong step or wrong move, then my back's going to be blown up again. You know what I mean? Going to be on the floor.
Well, yeah,
or whatever.
And then sometimes you just don't do anything, and then all of a sudden it trickles down to the way you eat because you're like, well, I'm not working out anyway. There's a lot of detriment to that. I know it's happened to me before. So, yeah, staying precise and healthy and strategic on how I do things and why I do things is very important at this age because I can't afford to get injured. It's just not negotiable.
Yeah, and it's critically important too because the body is so high maintenance. Consistency is king.
Yeah.
So if you get injured, obviously that's going to be quite derailed. I mean, honestly, with like good coaching, you probably work around it and still kind of train quite well. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a setback, no matter how you look at it. It's like you can just do good damage control and then kind of recover and hopefully not make the same mistake again. Sometimes those are needed because then you see how important health is and you don't realize it until you lose it. And I think that's an important lesson too. I definitely had that myself before,
Yeah, and it actually goes back to how important rest is because like if you're not rested and you're going in to, go do some heavy lifts or whatever, you can really screw yourself up.
Yeah, and I think just really teaching people to have that like deep mind-muscle connection. Yeah. And also staying within the range of motions where you can keep the tension in the targeted muscle group and not exceed that range of motion. Yep. I've never seen personally, never say never, but I've never seen personally anyone get injured lifting that way. You're not going to be an Olympian, and stuff of that sort, but I'm pretty sure most people don't even care. Yeah. And that's how I always lifted. That's how I train my clients to lift. And then once you kind of critique their technique and stuff of that sort a little bit, it's very, very safe to do.
No, it makes sense. So I want to talk about it's Anti-Farm Factory. Is that the name of your book?
Anti-Factory Farm.
And Anti-Factory Farm. Okay. Tongue twister, right? Only for the idiot Italian. So tell us a little bit about your book. And anybody that's listening to this, if you put in the comments that you're interested in the book, I will send you a copy for free. I'm getting a bunch for our Healing Hospitality community. But what was the antithesis of the book? It's really cool. It's very, and again, this is not like an insult. I think you get it. It's very simplistic. Like you open it, you read it, you understand it. It's pretty cool.
No, I totally don't take an insult to saying it's simple. In fact, Einstein said anyone that has mastered any material can take something complicated and explain it in a very simple manner. Yeah. So I think that's a good thing. And I personally always never liked reading books where it just kind of goes on and eventually gets to the point on like page 50. I'm like, dude, just get to the point. So I don't like hearing you talk this much. I just want to kind of get the information. So I like to write my books that way. And yeah, I mean, the book started as just a journey to find healthy eggs in the U.S., I ran into that video that I mentioned on the podcast yesterday, Paul Chek's Nutrition, the Dirt Facts. Yeah. And before then, when I moved to the U.S., I just thought everyone was growing food biodynamically, organically, like my grandmother did on that off-grid farm. And I just never questioned it. I was just too naive, and you can't even, with the naked eye, can't even see the difference oftentimes between this produce. And eventually I ran into, Paul Chek's documentary, and he was talking about the failing healthcare system. And mainly in that video, he was talking about the difference between industrial agriculture and biodynamic farming. And for the listener, in biodynamic farming is, in short, probably what they think of when they think of a farm. The mom and pop, different animals, they're all outside all the time, different like healthy looking crops. That's kind of a biodynamic farm, aka there's just a lot of biodiversity, a lot of different species, like plant species, animal species. And that's basically non-existent these days. Yeah. So you got industrial agriculture, which is typically like this farmer is specializing in raising chickens, this farmer is specializing in growing carrots or whatever. And when you grow that way, you grow kind of nutritionally inferior food, and also the food system becomes quite unsustainable. So my goal was like, okay, so I want healthy eggs. This is going to be super easy because I'm already like a certified nutritionist. How hard can it be? And because of all the greenwashing, the different labels, like no label, then you got cage-free, free-range, pasture-raised, USDA organic certified, 100% organic, made with organic ingredients, non-genetically modified, 109 square feet,
confusing.
210 square. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like from a person that's not in the industry, you look at these labels, you're like, what the hell am I even getting in all this food? And that's the premise of the book, is just basically simplifies like all this greenwashing and kind of shows you like, hey, this label means this label means this. And if you want this, then that's what you're getting, then buy this. So it basically fast tracks. I mean, my journey lasted for a long time. I think it took me like 4 years. I was already only coaching like 3 days a week. So the days in between I would spend on ranches. Like, very thankful for Frank Fitzpatrick for mentoring me. He mentored me on regenerative agriculture in regards to grass-fed and grass-finished beef.
Wow.
Happy Dash Hens. Carrie Balcom from American Grass-Fed Association. Dr. Jason Roundtree from Michigan State University. And
Were you sorry to interrupt? Were you saying that Arizona grass-fed's pretty legit? The ranch out of here?
I haven't ordered from them in quite a while. I remember when I was living in Big Bear during COVID, I used to order from them all the time. Back then, at least they're an American Grass-Fed Certified Ranch, which is the gold standard for grass-fed certifications. And they're a great company. I had a great experience with them. They're an Arizona-based company as well. They have their own processing plant, which kind of speeds up the logistics quite a bit and actually decreases the price quite a bit as well. And at least for how they did it before, then is basically you would order before Tuesday, they would ship it out on Tuesday, you would get it on Thursday.
Oh, wow.
And I would typically, it was like $10 or $12 for shipping at the time. So typically I would use that calorie counter that I have you using, calculate how much I need for the whole month just to economize on the shipping.
Yeah.
And they would just deliver it to my door.
Okay.
And that's the cool thing, because a lot of times, a lot of times people are like, well, I live in a food desert. It's usually not the case, because most everyone has at least a Walmart available, and Walmart is actually, in terms of volume, the biggest distributor of organic food. So everyone could at least shop there for sure. But even if they can't, they can get a lot of these companies to deliver to them.
Yeah.
So the whole food desert concept was maybe like 20 years ago for sure. That may have been the thing. But right now, you do have all of these ranches. You can go to AmericanGrassFed.org. Just scroll to the bottom of the website. They have an interactive map.
Yeah.
And there they'll show like every single state that has these certified, legit grass-fed operations. And they pretty much all deliver to your door. And so it's accessible for most people. Another great company is like Force of Nature Meats.
Yeah.
.com. They even sell like elk, deer, and boar. If you want to just rewild your diet, it's so easy to do so. You just eat elk, deer, boar, wild fish, and organic fruits and vegetables, and that's it. And boom, you've rewild your diet. I mean, it doesn't get much more nutrient dense than that.
Yeah, and they can deliver that stuff by drone now.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
I don't know.
I don't think these companies are delivering by drone. Maybe like Bezos, but.
Well, speaking of like elk, fish, chicken, beef, turkey, pork. I mean, are there any like things that is meat, or do you have specific ones that you personally like, or you feel are better for people to eat more than not?
It depends on for the person. If they want to be super exact, they can get like a stool test done called like the GI map stool test, or like a Biome FX stool test. You can get this ordered from a registered dietitian, and they deliver it to your door, and they can kind of analyze your keystone species in your gut, and if you have like any bacterial overgrowths, and then you can moreover customize your diet to your specific gut microbiome from there. But generally speaking, I like to, Mother Nature has been farming for 4.5 billion years. She's been doing it for a very long time. She's gone through 5 mass extinctions at this point, or 4, I forget exactly. And the universe has been around for 12 or 15 billion years.
Yeah.
And it's gone through a lot of different complicated evolution to form like the galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, that formed the solar system, that formed the planets, that formed the soil of food web that gives rise to our food. And our gut has evolved in tandem with that soil food web to be able to recognize and assimilate all the nutrients from there. So I would say the further you get away from farming and the closer you get to food out in the wild and nature, the better.
Yeah.
You could get into hunting. I've done that. Greg Pleasant is my hunting and forestry mentor from Texas, and very pleasant guy. Last name is Pleasant. You could get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that. It's totally not necessary, though, because you have wild fish accessible to you at any store pretty much. And you just pick the wild ones instead of the farmed ones. And you also have those companies, like I mentioned, Force of Nature Meats, that sell elk, deer, wild boar, and a bunch of other stuff. They sell actually good quality, legitimate grass-fed and finished beef and bison as well. And they also sell a lot of their products actually in the frozen section at like Whole Foods or like more organically themed stores. So you don't even have to really order from their website directly. It's up to you. But the resources are there, and it's so easy to rewild your diet. You know, it's. I mean, that's it. I wish I could explain it more than that. But if you just do that, you've rewilded your diet.
Nothing better than an elk burger that my wife cooks. Oh, I love elk burgers. Okay, I wanted to ask you this.
I think a Megalodon burger would be way better.
A Megalodon burger would be great. Oh, I love Megalodon. One question before we get out of here, because I know, what do you have, like a 4.5 hour drive back?
Yeah. It's nice. I mean, I like the Challenger, and it's like I'm going to just take my time in getting back this time. So
no, that's good. I want you back before dark. I'm concerned about you and your vision. You know, older you are.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm just kidding. So speaking of vision, carrots are good. It's kind of cool because when you put me on this eating regime that I still stick to, I've fallen in love with carrots from the farmer's market. They're so good. They're like candy. I've fallen in love with jicama. I love cucumbers, radishes, any of that sort of stuff. And I want you to explain to the listening audience why Delo or anybody else can eat the shit out of those things and not have to count them in their macros.
Yeah, non-starchy vegetables, they're good to include as part of a balanced diet altogether. Some people may need to get in a habit of cooking them to not have any digestive issues in the beginning at least.
Yeah.
But the good thing and not known to a lot of people is non-starchy vegetables basically have like 0 calories. So they're advantageous to have, especially when you're trying to lose weight. Because one of the challenges of people trying to lose weight is they're constantly complaining about being hungry. Most of the time, when I hear that, it's because people are still sourcing processed food to hit their caloric needs, which is fairly low when you're trying to lose weight. And obviously, when you're sourcing processed food or liquid calories, it doesn't quite fill you up because the density of the food is, or the volume of the food is quite low, meaning it doesn't take up that much room in your stomach. But the density, the calorie content of that food is quite high. So you end up eating quite a bit of that food. So like a cheeseburger from McDonald's, it's like 800 calories. You eat it, and then like 30 minutes later, you're quite hungry pretty quickly. And unless you're like powerlifting world champion, you really can't absorb that many calories without them being converted to excess weight very quickly, So the good thing is they can throw in like a lot of non-starchy vegetables. They could eat unlimited amounts of them, actually, as many as they want, because the fiber content is quite high and the caloric content is quite low. And more importantly, you take up quite a lot of volume in your stomach, so they fill you up very, very quickly. And they could eat as much of it as they want. They can cook it, they can eat it raw, whatever they like, and not gain any weight. In fact, they'll probably lose weight a little bit faster because it takes calories to break calories down to work past all that fiber. And typically, it'll take a little bit more energy to get that energy in return from the vegetables.
Yeah.
So just another little thing among like a myriad of other things people can do to make the fat loss journey much more sustainable. But no fat loss program is sustainable. But some can be done longer than others, of course.
It's a huge godsend for me when I was, losing that weight or whatever. And now I've just acclimated vegetables into my life. Like I absolutely love them. So like even one of my lunches will be like a whole avocado smashed up and, some lemon juice and sea salt or whatever. And then I just have a spread of vegetables and just dig in there, or vegetables with I like mustard, mustard, stuff like that. And, it's nice because then I'm kind of like, okay, cool. I can still, eat this much for dinner, and I don't have to, subtract, the carbs or whatever from the vegetables. So I always thought that was interesting. You were one of the only and few that had ever not put that, against me on my macro plan or whatever when I was doing things, and it worked. I mean, I got totally shredded, and I was eating like a pound of jicama a day,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's one of those easy fat loss hacks, you know, to do on a fat loss journey, because you should never be hungry because you have unlimited food. You could eat unlimited of these non-starchy vegetables. Of course, the more diversity, the better. But it's just another tool people can use to make the fat loss journey much more tolerable.
I love it. I love it. All right, we're going to do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong answers. You can answer however you want or not answer at all. But we're going to have some fun. Okay. Rambo or Commando?
Which Rambo? If it's Rambo First Blood, then always Rambo First Blood.
Well, not even the movie, just like the character.
Oh, who would?
Yeah.
So I analyzed this in a lot of detail already. So we can have a separate entire podcast on the what's going to happen if the showdown occurs. In terms of who wins in a battle, or just who I like more,
who you like more?
Rambo First Blood. Come on. It's not even competition, man.
Not even close. Right. It's so badass. California or New York?
I've never been to New York, so I would have to go to California because I've never been to New York.
Never been to New York? Wow. I got married there. Camaro or Trans Am?
My Dodge Challenger.
Okay. Right. All good. Cow or pig?
I like pigs more. I think they're more goofy, and you can kind of cuddle them,
They're cute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of mellow, they're in their own zone.
Do you eat bacon at all?
No, I don't eat pork. I never got into pork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather sleep or go on a hike?
Sleep all the time, man. Come on. No one likes a sweaty back, dude.
Would you rather go fishing or go swimming?
Where are we going swimming?
You pick.
Go fishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you like the water. You go camp by the water and.
I don't like to camp. I do day hikes. The reason I bring the tent, especially in the videos you're probably referring to, is because there are a lot of snakes in that area.
Oh, so
and I go in there and close it so the snakes don't crawl up on me, so I could actually lay there in peace. Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's the story behind it, man.
Oh God, that's a great story. I have a feeling I'll get no answer out of this. Pizza or carrot cake?
I like pizza, honestly, like New York style pizza or Hawaiian style pizza.
And what's that, like once a year for you?
I haven't had pizza in forever. I kind of fell out of it. I don't know. I used to eat it here and there, but then just stopped eating it. And I don't have an urge to want to eat it again.
I love pizza. Train legs or talk to people?
Train legs. Dude, why even ask that question? That's so obvious, I had to pause because I'm like, why would you ask such a stupid question? You already know the answer.
Because I wanted to see the reaction on your face.
Yeah, it's dude, Greg Plitt would say, I don't know if you remember Greg Plitt.
I do, yeah.
That guy's a legend, dude. It's so sad to see him pass. But I remember in one of his videos, he was taking live answers, and I was on the live, and one guy asked him, oh, how much should I run to lose X amount of weight? And he looked at it, and then looks at the screen, and he's like, why would you ask such a stupid fucking question? As much as it takes to burn that fat off of your ass, Next question.
Oh,
that's such a great Plitt response, man.
It is, yeah. No, that's amazing. Okay, the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot?
I think Bigfoot's cool.
I love my buttons.
But both of them, if I could pick, because I think both of them are cool.
Both are cool, yeah. And then last but not least, it's going to be a tough one. Would you rather, I know you'd rather not do either, would you rather do an Ironman or run a 100-mile ultra?
It's a good question. I haven't even walked more than a mile
I know.
For who God knows how long already.
I picked these exclusively for you.
I think the 100-mile, while like having an audio of Greg Plitt insulting me the entire time,
Perfect.
I think I'll be able to finish it then.
Those are all great answers.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, where can people find you if they want to hire you? I'll put it all in show notes. What's your best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, I'm still in the Matrix. I got TrufkinAthletics.com.
Yep.
I'm on the Instagram and Facebook as well.
And you have your own podcast.
Eugene Trufkin Radio.
Yep.
You're on it 2 times now. So yeah, just those things. I'm pretty sure if you just Google my name, Eugene Trufkin, something will come up, hopefully.
Yep, we'll have it all in show notes of this and that. Dude, thank you for driving down
thank
here
you, man.
and doing this with me.
Yeah, it was great.
Absolute
It was great.
blast.
I love your podcast room too. So
We'll have some more fun down the road.
Cool.
So, all right, everybody,
All right, thanks,
for listening to On the Delo. And yeah, I sell insurance, yay! But more so, please follow Eugene, follow him on Instagram. If you're interested in a trainer, reach out, or coach, let me know. And until next time, peace out.
thanks, guys.